We live. It's good time.
We live. All right. Thank you very much for tuning in. And as always, this is Learning the Process podcast. We are your hosts. I'm Yanko, and with me always, the also wise
Marcos.
And Marcos. Yes. So, welcome to Learning the Process podcast. Part of our introduction is, well, what is the podcast about? Well, the podcast is about our process in our personal growth, self-development, and what it takes to achieve your goals, ideas, and dreams based off of our life experiences. So, of course, this wouldn't be possible without the knowledge and wisdom of the also wise Marcos.
I wish. You're making me sound like the Wizard of Oz.
So,
right?
Listen. A lot of this happens because of you. So, you know,
That's
we got to give the flowers to those that deserve it. So, what is going to be our topic for today?
All right, man. Today's topic is emotional topic. Everybody can relate to it. It's all about friendship.
Ooh, that's going to be a spicy one.
For a lot of people, this is a sensitive topic.
Indeed. It's going to be very, very touching because we like to use the word friends and friendship a lot. And we use it very loosely and we overuse it. A lot of people don't know what the meaning of being a friend is or what it entails to have a friendship. So, you know, right now, me and Marcos, who have 40 years,
Give or take.
4 decades of friendship. And let me tell you, it's been one hell of a roller coaster ride. And, you know, we can speak on this because, I mean, short of being blood brothers, we've been through it all. You know, ups, downs, and outs, and upside downs, and, you know. So we're gonna be able to give our point of view with our friendship to each other, and then our friendship with other people. So, Marcos.
All right. So, definitely a question. A question for you, Yanko. How far do you remember our friendship? Like when it started? I think we talked about it a little bit how I met you, I think in episode 1, was it?
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, you have a really good memory as to, you know, our first encounter, but I wouldn't call that a friendship. You know, that was, you know, we were just in close proximity to each other.
Yeah.
You know, me being in the same class with your sister, and then, you know, me having a light friendship with her, you know, in our teenage years or you know, early adolescent years. And then, you know, because boys and girls, you know, we're biologically different. And although we are innocent and we use, you know, friendship or friends, you know, both with the opposite sex, once you start getting into, you know, the hormone, you know, area, it will ruin what is a friendship. So then, you know, you know, me and your sister, we stayed amicable, we stayed respectful, but our innocent friendship, you know, once we got into, you know, our teenage years, it went in different direction, and then I adopted you like the little brother that I never had. So, and then, you know, so I want to say probably like by the 3rd year of knowing each other, it's when it started to develop as a friendship.
Yeah, so. I realized, you know, now that you're mentioning all that, you know, you and me came from this environment, and I always mention this. It's very hardcore, harsh, you know, eat or be eaten environment. And in our neighborhood, it was like at least 50 of us on the corner.
Yes,
it was
sir.
a bunch of kids in the corner, a bunch of us, right? I might be exaggerating with the 50, but it was high numbers, right? It was very high numbers of what we would consider friends at the time. Oh, this is my friend, or this is my block, right? Because we had our block, and in our block, it had groups of people, and there's certain groups. While we were all together, there's certain people that gravitated to each other, and you'll see that there'll be like splinter cells. Right?
Splinter cells.
Three splinter cells.
That's pretty accurate.
Yeah, small, team 4, you know.
Absolutely.
Still team 4s. Everybody had like their team
Absolutely.
that they created in a large community. Like when we played against another block, it was all of us. When we played against sports, it was all of us. But when let's say that we all played against, we started playing against each other, then people would choose the same people to be their partners in the team. Right, so when we play baseball, it will be the same. When we play basketball, it will be the same.
Football.
Right? So that kind of like how we started like building friendships in the neighborhood, right? And in our neighborhood, one thing I enjoyed about my neighborhood is that we have all mixed races and cultures in my neighborhood. So we had like, you know, the Arabic guy, we had the Japanese guy, we had the Asian, you know, from China. Had Dominican, Puerto Rican, black. The
white boy.
You know, he had Greeks.
The Greeks.
You know, you have all kinds. We were all there, like, you know, just kind of hanging out, playing sports together. But out of all those people, as you know, you have this small group of friends, and Yanko was one of them. As one of the people I was in his circle, and out on all these circles of friends in this one area.
No, absolutely, that's true. You know, my early recollection of my early friends were the ones that were in my building, you know, because before I can go outside and explore outside of my building, I was friends with the other kids that lived in my building. So, you know, my exploration outside of my building began when my other friends, they started exploring outside, and then we would be friends with, you know, the kids from the other building. So on my block, we had 3 buildings. Actually 4 if you count the one around the corner.
Yeah, it's the same thing for me. It was the same thing. I first started growing up with the people in my building, and we would hang in the basement, and it would start with the person I lived with across from my apartment, right, in the same floor. And then I would be cool with the people in the other floors, and then we will go to the basement, and next you know, we'll start hanging out with the people in the basement across from us.
That's right.
But it was like the people that were like across the street was like a different world.
That's right. That's right.
Until I started venturing off because of my sister. My sister pulled me out. That's how I met you. She's like, come out to the world. You're always in the basement. And then finally, you know, I met Yanko, and then I met, oh, wait, there's other people across the street, you know.
That's right.
Around similar age range.
I remember just crossing the street. It was like, yo, it's like you're basically in another world. Yo, I got to cross the street, you know. So, and that's eventually how you start growing, you know, your social circle. You know, it goes from your immediate circle, you know, your brothers and sisters and cousins, to then your neighbors, and then so on and so forth. So that's, you know, that's how we started building our friendship. But something that we've done that many others have not done is maintain that friendship.
That is a fact, yo. Now, one of the main things that made me and Yanko really close friends is that during our life experience, we went through a lot of trauma together. There were things that were so traumatic that we suffered together, and that made our bond stronger, because while these traumatic situations kept happening, it showed us how much we cared about each other, and we held each other's back. We had each other's back, no matter how tough the situation was, how dangerous the situation was, you know, how traumatic the situation was. We kept holding each other's back, and that definitely, I think, forged a greater bond because of the trauma we went through together, and the things that we saw, and the experience, a new experience of life that no one was there to teach us. Now, we come from a generation where our fathers weren't around, right? So we were like figuring things out as males, right? We had no male guidance, no mentors, nowhere to go. We were just figuring things out, the world out. We figured it out. We made all the mistakes, said all the silly things, thought we was right about things. My first job, yo, Yanko, you know, he got a job. He was like, yo, come work with me. My first job experience was with Yanko. Burger King in New Jersey. I remember that.
Oh, yes, sir.
Got me my first job, bro.
Shout out to the Burger King crew from Fort Lee, New Jersey.
Yeah. Yeah, normally your father will be the person that helps you, like, drive your first car. Yo, Yanko taught me how to drive my first car. I taught myself how to ride a bike. No one taught me how to ride a bike. I taught myself. That's wild.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we had to learn a lot of things on our own because we didn't have anyone to teach us. You know, we didn't have those positive role models, those male figures to be able to guide us, you know, and be what a biological male is supposed to be, you know, as they grow older, which is to teach. You know, every adult is supposed to teach. Yeah. So unfortunately, because we come from an environment of trauma, you know, emotional, psychological, you know, they never healed. So a healed person can't help because they're trying to help themselves and they can't because they don't know how to. So because of that is also a reason that a lot of friendships don't last, because we don't know what we know now, me and you, of course, because we've matured into, you know, who we are now. But when you come from our environment and a fight or flight environment, we don't know what a healthy friendship is. Just like we don't know what healthy relationships with the opposite sex is, because we didn't have what it is to have something healthy. So with that being said, what is or are some of the characteristics of a friend?
Well, definitely from what I've seen in our relationship, I'll give you an example. For me at that time,
yes,
to this day, it still holds true. I remember one time you lent me a hat. Right, you lent me a hat. You lent me this college university hat. It was like one of the first fittest ever. I never had a hat like that. It was amazing. Put on this hat, people loved it. It made me. It leveled up my bar at school. All right, this must have been like middle school.
Yeah.
That I was in, right? And one day I was walking by my neighborhood, and this older kid comes and takes the hat, snatches it right from me. And I tried to chase him, and I couldn't because he was just older than me. He was explosive speed. He just left me in the dust. It was no way in the world. And then I come home. I was upset, crying. I reached out to Yanko. He was like, "What happened to the hat?" You know, Yanko had lent me the hat. I told my sister about it, and it was like, "I'm telling you, this person was like this, and like, in what direction they ran? They ran this direction." I was like, "Oh, they're probably from my school." And the next day they come pick me up, and they take me to their school. I'm in middle school. This is like, I was like in 5th grade. And this school was like 7th and 8th grade. All right. And I'm like probably, what was it, like 4'9"? Everybody there was like 5'5", 5'7" with a mustache. I didn't have like no hair in my face or nothing. People have mustaches where I went. This kid had like a mustache. We went to that school, and my sister found the guy. He was standing at the back of the school with the hat on. He already painted his mark on it, messed it up, and Yanko went right up to that guy's face. Like that. And that guy was scared to death. And my sister snatched the hat off. My sister embarrassed him in front of everybody. Mm-hmm. I was there. And that right there changed things for me. You know what I'm saying? That might sound weird to some people. Well, in my world, where I came from, that meant like, this guy really cared. He put himself out there in danger. Like, he don't know what was going to happen. He didn't care. He went up there and he defended my honor, basically.
That's right.
I was a young kid, and you looked out for me, and you was never upset about losing the hat. You never body slammed me for it. I was kind of scared. It was like my big brother. And he was like, he's never going to let me, probably going to body slam me. Like, Yanko's never body slammed me in my life. Never hit me. But in my mind, because it's such a hardcore environment, I was like, I'm probably going to get a big bro ass whipping for losing the hat. Who knows? But none of that happened. Homeboy showed me nothing but love, got the hat back, and then, we carried on from there. And after that, I admire you from that. From there on, I always looked up and always knew that you have my back. You know what I'm saying? That changed for that perspective. It helped you gain real estate in my heart.
Real estate.
Basically. So right there, he started off like an apartment. Of course, now he has like many mansions.
Mansions. Yeah. Multiple family dwellings.
Yeah, exactly. Private jet.
So a lot of people, they don't understand what it means to be a friend. And I believe that it's because, one, they haven't been taught what it means to be a friend. And two, I believe that they're afraid to be the one who's vulnerable and open, to have a friendship. Right now, everything is transactional. Both me and you have had, previous friendships that they fell apart, and now in our age, or should I say in our level of understanding and maturity, both intellectually and emotionally, we understand that those relationships that we had in the past, they were transactional. It was for the moment. And, of course, it hurts when you, on your side, your perspective, you're like, oh man, like I was a friend to this person, but that person didn't view, you or I as friends. So I believe that because there is the lack of maturity, and there's a lot of ego, the ego stops you from being vulnerable. And if you're not vulnerable, then you're not truthful. And that is, I believe, something that is stopping people from having true friendships.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. And the deep part is that in our friendship, we have all these years that pass by. And in mine's and Yanko's friendship, we always spoke about all our stuff. We were completely vulnerable. We put our stuff on the table. And as the years pass, what strengthened our friendship more is because this vulnerability, you're expressing what was troubling for you. Then you and me, we will solve it together. I'll express all my troubles to you, and we'll just vent. And then as time passes, we grow. And then we're showing how we were maturing. Now, nobody was telling us that we were maturing. We wasn't reading this in books.
That's right.
We were just maturing, and we were realizing it. And we was like, yo, this feels great. And every time I express something, a accomplishment of in either in a physical world or emotionally, we will tap each other in the back and we'll support, like, yo, that's exactly where we need to be going. That's exactly what we need to be doing. And we would spend days and mornings working out together, and then you'll go by your world, I'll go by my world, and we kept repeating this cycle of this friendship therapy.
Yes.
Right? At the gym. We kept just meeting up every morning at the gym and friendship therapy. And then we just kept growing. And then we saw a common ground. It was like, yo, we have to grow. We have to get better in life.
Yes.
And then this hunger of getting better. And we kept encouraging each other.
And I like that because that's the first time I've heard the term friendship therapy. But I don't know if you just made it up. But
I just made that up. I'm winging it right now.
Bro, you better trademark that shit, because I'm like, friendship therapy. I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what it was, because we were able to be vulnerable and truthful. And, we were having this conversation earlier before we started the podcast, that the reason me and you, or you and I, have such a great friendship, that basically, short of it being blood brothers, I don't think you can level up from there, is that we get to the root or to the seed of whatever misunderstanding we have. And a lot of people, they don't do that. They don't peel the layers of an onion, to get to the seed, to the heart, to the core of it, where we get to an agreement based on understanding. Not like, okay, yeah, let's agree to disagree. No, let's not agree to disagree. We need to understand what is it that we're disagreeing about. And then once we have each other's perspective, it's like, okay, now we can agree because we understand each other's perspective. We don't have to agree on each other's perspective, but we understand each other's perspective. And then once we get there, that's the core. We're like, okay, now we good. And a lot of people, they try to avoid and ignore that specific thing in a friendship, and even just a relationship too. Like if you married and you tell your wife, hey, what's wrong? I'm fine. Babe, I know you're not fine. What's wrong? I'm fine. I'm fine. You see what I'm saying? It's like, well, you're avoiding and you're refusing to peel the layers so we can get to the root and then be like, okay, we're on the same page now, you know?
So-
and
so
a lot of people don't do that.
So what you're saying is, for friendship, from according to what you're understanding in your experience, that there has to be vulnerability
Oh, absolutely.
in friendship.
Absolutely.
You have to be able to open the door and let your friend say something without you being even if you are uncomfortable, you got to open the door.
Absolutely.
You know, because if not, you can't just, it's like Yanko said earlier, transactional. This can't be transactional. It can't be a yes man friendship. Just giving you what you want to hear instead of telling you the truth of what you're seeing.
Or
And sometimes when it's uncomfortable.
or not telling you anything at all.
Not telling you anything at all.
Like I had a friend that to me he was like my brother, to me. And mind you, I have brothers, and he was more my brother than my actual brothers, because the same way you looked at me is the same way I looked at him. And then he just, he distanced himself from me. And whenever I would try to find him and look for him and be like, hey man, like what's up? He would just, ghost or silent treatment, or be a person of little words and communication. And you can only try that for so long before you say, you know what, I'm trying, but this person doesn't view my friendship the way I view his friendship, So
Yeah, absolutely. I get that. So one thing that I learned from our friendship is that our friendship is work. It's something that you and me have to put effort in. You and me put those effort in. We create opportunities and time for us to do something together, and we never stop doing that. If something like before, we used to work out every time in the morning, right? But then life changed, so it was impossible to do that. You moved, I was moved somewhere else. So the exercise thing coming together didn't work. So we created other things to do. Oh, let's just going snowboarding together.
That's right.
Let's start having dinner together. Let's just talk on the phone.
Let's talk on
Find
the phone.
different
man.
opportunities. Let's play basketball on the weekends.
That's right.
When we could. Sports, whatever it is. We always find an opportunity to try to stay under communication. So that's one thing I learned, that friendship takes effort. That is work. Just like when you're married, you got to your spouse, you each got to keep each other happy. It's a job to make sure that you guys aren't just coming together, but you're growing together, right? That's the same thing with friendship, right? With somebody who's not under your roof, you have to continue to find ways to communicate and stay in communication and grow and make that time and effort.
Another aspect of friendship that, for me, that I value is being selfless, which means what can I give you? What can I do for you to better your life?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, I'm not thinking about what am I going to get out of this. I'm thinking, how can I help this person? So being vulnerable is saying, hey, I'm here if you need something. What do you need? Can I help in any way, shape, or form? So if you're selfish, then you don't care what the other person needs. You're only thinking about what you want. You're like, oh, I don't, and then you're always waiting till they look for you. When you're selfless, you're looking for them. Hey, just checking up on you. You good? You need anything? So a lot of people, because of emotional immaturity and ego, they're selfish.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
yeah, I thank you for saying that, because there was one time that I had an issue, right? And I was going through this tough time in my life, transitioning phase, where I made a choice and I was like, hey, that's it. I need to change this specific thing in my life that's causing damage. So I isolated myself from the world, from everyone, because of it. And Yanko used to come around in his motorcycle. I remember that. And he used to be like, yo, what's up? What you doing? He was like, yo, come downstairs. I was like, all right, cool. And I come downstairs and he would be like, yo, he was like, what's up, man? It's good. You need something? He was like, no, man, just checking in, man. See how you doing. I was like, oh, shit, checking in to see how I'm doing. Yo, my guy pulled up, yo. He probably doesn't realize that, but that meant a lot to me. Yo, that he came out of his way randomly, uninvited, and was like, yo, I'm pulling up. Come downstairs. And then, yo, just to check on to see how I was doing.
That's it.
And that's important, yo.
Yeah. And you know, like I said, the reason I operate the way I do is because I believe in treat others the way you would like to be treated, and do for others the way you would like others to do for you. It for me is just so simple, so black and white. So, you know, it's like I do things for people, and you know, people will say to me, well, why do you do that? And I'm like, because that's the right thing to do. Not because I expect anything out of it, because I know that if it was me, I would have liked for someone to do it for me. And being that we come from an environment that was very unhealthy and, you know, very toxic, we didn't get a lot of the things that we should have gotten, you know, growing up. Especially during those critical years in our lives, which is between the ages of 8 and 18. You know, we needed certain structure, you know, and support that is supposed to be given to us and all children, and we never got it, you know, until we met each other, and then which is why gangs are formed, because gangs, you know, those individuals, they are looking for that thing that's missing from a father, you know, that support. It initially is always that support, that safe environment.
That safe environment, yo. Everybody got your back.
Everybody got your back, which, you know, your brothers and sisters and cousins and mom, and, you know, they're all supposed to do it. But when you come from a toxic environment, you know, not that it's their fault.
Yeah.
Because they're also dealing with their own traumas.
Yeah.
You know, they're dealing with their own stuff. So, you know, they're creating us. And then, as they say, you know, left us to the wolves. And the wolves, eventually, it was us. You know, we were the wolves, you know. And some of us became sheeps, some of us became wolves, and some of us became sheep wolves, you know. So, and the sheep wolf is who me and you became. You know, we're right in the middle, you know.
And look where it led us today. We have our own podcast. Like I said, me and Yanko kept things going, kept our friendship alive, kept fighting for it. See how much work it takes to be friends. We're in each other's life for so many different aspects, especially the most vulnerable ones, the deep secrets, right? And we talk about these things a lot and all the time, and we keep this door open. Now, Yanko, for the next thing, what's not just people have, and we gave them an example of our experience in friendship. You know, now that being said, everybody has their own experience. This is our experience. What about like the situation that's happening today, where things are like what you thought were your friends, but it's more like a transactional relationship?
Well, I think that's something that's been happening for, I want to say, at least 30 years, give or take. And I mean, I can't pinpoint it to one specific thing, you know, because everything is correlated, everything is connected. But, you know, I believe it stems from fear. You know, people are afraid to just be either truthful, honest, you know, or caring. If you don't care about someone else, then you're not going to do what's right for them. So, you know, friendship is dying, just like relationships are dying, because of all these negative, you know, attributes to humanity, which is selfishness, ego, envy, jealousy, hate, anger. You can't have anything meaningful or anything positive when you have those negative attributes and you apply them every day. You know? So, you know, friendship dying, or the dying of friendship, is because there is something that has pushed all of these negative, you know, emotional conditions on people. And now, you know, even just to say good morning, some people are offended when you walk in and you go, good morning, how you doing? And people, but that's because they're dealing with their own emotional trauma. You know, I'd say emotional trauma is worse than psychological trauma. Psychological trauma, you could change it. Emotional, that's a tough one.
I agree with that, because that's what triggers people
Mm-hmm.
to think something and go further into whatever they're thinking and react on that,
And then react.
because they're running emotionally on it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's like pretty much like the gasoline, right? Or the fire,
Mm-hmm.
the fuel that they need to like make a bad choice. You know, one of the things that I realized about all the other friendships that I had, and some of them died out. One is that, you know, some of them is just like a maturity phase to it. A maturity phase to it. Like, yo, as you age, you become a different human being. The person that we used to be many years ago, we're no longer that person. It's like the movie The Shawshank Redemption, right?
Great movie.
Right, when he says, you know, at the end, and he was going to the parole board, and they was talking to him, do you think you were changed? I was like, look, I'm this many years old. That person who did that crime, that person doesn't exist no more. All he is this old man right now, completely different experience, like, what I did, that's it. I can't, it is what it is. So,
Exactly.
and I feel that today, that's all of us. You know, even if some of us still haven't matured out certain things, at the end of the day, there is a level of maturity that's happening that comes natural to everyone. And there's some that you have to really physically work on building,
Mm-hmm.
right? But one thing we know is that I am 46 years old right now. I know that. And I know that with this age comes a different kind of level of responsibility and certain actions I need to take. And in certain environments I need to be in. And in certain environments I can no longer be in, because I just physically can't do it. And I felt like I lost friends because I can no longer play in that environment as opposed to the environment I should be playing in. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, we all make choices. So, because I've known you for so long, you are capable of doing anything you want. So you can play in any environment, but your maturity level allows you to know that certain playing fields are detrimental to who you are, you know, and that's something that comes with maturity when you know that something is just not right for you. It might be right for someone else, you know, and it's up to them to figure out whether it's right for them or not right for them based on where they are in their life. So, you know, there's things that, man, if we could go back 30 years, we would do those things.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, because that's who we were at that time in our life. Now, perfect example, staying up past 10 o'clock. Can we stay up past 10 o'clock? Of
Yeah,
course.
absolutely.
Can we break night? Absolutely. Can we go clubbing and pop bottles? Yes, we can, because we could physically do it. Same way we wake up at 4 in the morning to go to the gym. We can do it. The question is it feasible to our body, our mind, our soul,
Our goals.
our goals? Does it make sense? No, it doesn't.
It doesn't make sense.
So why would we stay up past 10 o'clock for something that is detrimental to our life, to our livelihood? It makes no sense. So, but to others, you know, they can't let go of that. So they have to continue doing it because it is the only, you know what, it's like an identity. That's their identity. They have to keep doing it in order to have an idea of who they are. Not that it is who they are, but in their mind, they think that that's, you know, just like the person who buys a BMW. The BMW becomes their identity. You know, the person who wears whatever, you know, that materialistic thing is their identity. It's the same thing. You know, some people have to do drugs, not because they want to, but because now it's their identity. So, you know, that's a lot of healing that needs to be done internally with every individual, you know. So, and when people say that you don't need therapy, everybody needs therapy, you know, and not like clinical therapy. You don't need to go to a doctor, but be able to self-reflect is a form of therapy. Being honest with yourself is a form of therapy. Being truthful and being vulnerable. You know, a lot of people don't like to look at, you know, the mirror and who they see in the mirror. So, you know, that's Cough, my friend, cough. Let it out. Let it out.
All right.
Now you're making.
I think I had coffee went into the wrong.
So
line.
yeah, so that's the way I see it, and the reason why I love my friendship with you is because I'm an open book, and my main goal is to always do right by you. Like how can I be the best person for Marcos? And that's how I try to operate, across the board. Like, so because I'm no longer afraid to be betrayed. So many people are afraid to be betrayed. Oh my God, he's going to take advantage or she's going to take advantage. And it's like, bro, but again, it takes time to build yourself up to a place where you don't have this fear. Again, I give of myself, and if somebody takes advantage of me, I'm like, you didn't take advantage of me. You ruined this because I gave to you. I'm not afraid of losing. I gave to you.
Yeah, one thing that I realized about, like old childhood friends, old acquaintances, is that certain things happen, and some of it's not even your fault. It's just life happening.
Yes.
Right? And just, and these individuals sometimes go through certain situations that I've seen. So even myself. But one thing that I learned about myself is that anytime somebody does wrong to me, I'm willing to be forgiving. I'm willing to forgive it because I understand something about life. I understand that this human experience that we're living comes with making mistakes, comes with error, especially in this world. There's a lot of terrible things that happen, right? So we're all trying to figure this world out, this living experience.
That's right.
We're trying to figure it out, and it comes with good and bad, right? And we try to make these mistakes that happen. So I think it's important that people use that tool of forgiveness a lot because there's so many mistakes. There's so much human error, right? And I know some mistakes are very hard, and some of them are even unforgivable, right? Because they're so bad and it's so detrimental to one's life of certain people's mistakes. But one way or another, you have to find peace in it, even if you can't forgive that person.
That's
but
right.
they're minor mistakes too, right? They're minor ones. And I've noticed that these when you really dissect these friendships that have gone south, the mistakes and the conversations they had and then what caused them to go is such a little thing that I can't understand why they put it into something big. They create, like, people tend to create something that's so small, simple that could be easily, in time, you could heal from it in time because nothing's going to be 0 to 100. You got to work on it, right? Through conversations, relation, maybe therapy, as you say, and other ways. Like you could bring friends together to put so that you could all both lay down, bear the problem together, and then you have 5 other judges to see who's right and wrong in this issue.
Yeah.
But people these days stand strong in their anger. You know what I'm saying? And their ability or want to put this behind them and move forward and understand, hey, this mistake happened, let's just move forward. You know what I'm saying? These are going to happen in the future. So forgive me now for what just happened, but forgive me for what I'm going to do. Right? Because as we mature, there's new mistakes are going to arise. You know what I'm saying? Now, I understand if a person is doing something like repeatedly the same thing to you, then that is a problem.
Yeah.
But I've seen friendships be destroyed for one mistake that was never repeated. You know what I'm saying? And it's minor stuff. It's not even physical stuff, stealing stuff, taking away stuff. It's a word that was said.
Or a misunderstanding.
A misunderstanding.
That's all it was, a misunderstanding.
A misunderstanding. Friendships lost for misunderstanding.
Yeah.
In drunk moments. And because you were drunk, it makes less sense.
Yes.
So when you sober up, you be like, okay, what was this about really? Let's just talk about it. But people won't even.
You know why, right?
Why? This is like the $1 million question that I've been trying to figure out.
They don't want to be wrong.
They don't want to be wrong.
Remember, the ego always wants to be right, even when you're wrong. You see what I'm saying? The ego is arrogance, which means even if you're wrong, you're right. And everybody else has to be wrong. That's arrogance. In other words, I committed a crime. I get caught. I'm innocent. How arrogant do you have to be to know that you did something wrong? You stole, you murdered, you raped, and you're claiming your innocence. Do you understand what I'm saying?
No, absolutely. It's like certain people do all that and then they'll blame their past mistakes. This is why this happened.
Exactly. So is that
It's
level?
not my fault. My parents weren't there. This happened to me when I was younger, so it's okay for me to victimize the next person, even though I was the victim.
Exactly. And now they're like, oh, it's not my fault. You know what I'm saying? So ego loves arrogance because it keeps the ego alive. You know what I'm saying? And so many people, they want to hold on to their ego. Also, another problem that the ego does to a human being is that when the person doesn't get their way, that is another thing that ruins relationship. Because they feel in their arrogance that you're my friend. You have to give me this. You have to do this.
You gotta yes man me for everything I say. Support all my terrible decisions, no matter what, because you're my friend.
Exactly.
You gotta choose sides too.
Exactly.
My side, you have to choose.
Exactly.
You can't choose a side of right.
So you see that arrogance?
Right or wrong? Truth? No. My side.
That's
wild.
a big killer in friendships. That's a big killer in friendships because it's like, yo, you got to do this with me. You got to do, and it's like, bro, but that doesn't make sense. That is going to be detrimental to both of us. So you want both of us to lose
for the word loyalty.
They'll
throw that word out there.
Yeah,
loyalty.
And that's the thing. That's
not loyalty, yo.
But here's the thing. That's one of those detrimental characteristics in our community. You know, not
character defects.
It is because here's a perfect example, right? No snitching. What do you mean no snitching? You're doing wrong. You're committing a crime. Why do I need to support your bad behavior? That doesn't make no sense, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So you know, when you don't police up your own community, then what you tolerate is exactly what you're going to get in return.
Yeah.
So you tolerate bad behavior, that's what you're going to get in return. So look at our community. You know, everybody is so disrespectful. And everybody lies, everybody cheats, everybody manipulates.
Yo, that was a crazy thing. One day, there was this lady. Now that you mentioned no snitches, but I got to say that. I just want to show that the ignorance of people.
Of course.
There was one person, a woman, in front of her building. She was like, I'm going to call the cops on you guys. This and this and that. This is a person who pays the taxes, goes to work, lives in that building, has the right to live in a good, come in and out of her building as free as she can because she does what's right.
That's right.
The people in the neighborhood was like, oh, she's a snitch, this and this and this and that. And I had to explain to them, yo, that woman's not a snitch. I'm like, what do you mean? That's a snitch, yo. You can't be I was like, you can't call the cops. I'm like, yo, a snitch is a person who does a crime with another person who's doing a crime.
Mm-hmm.
You knew the consequences of the crime, and you decided to do it with your partner. You got caught. Your partner didn't. So you told because they scared you. It was like, oh, you need to tell us who this other person is because if not, you're going to get all the time. That is a snitch.
That's a snitch.
When you knew the crime and you jumped in and you knew the consequences and you got caught.
Exactly.
That is a snitch. Not the person who's paying their taxes, paying their rent, living a life on life's terms, abiding by the law, and they decide to call the cops on you. That's not a snitch. That's a person protecting their investment.
Yep. And that right there is another example of the ego and the arrogance, you know, where now you want to do something wrong, but then now you want to blame someone else and play the victim.
Yeah.
You know, no, you chose that environment. The other person is not part of your environment. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, you know, like the, you know, the father or the grandmother that, you know, looks out the window and sees a crime happening. they call 911. They're not a snitch because they're not part of their environment.
Exactly.
You have to be involved in the crime or involved in the situation to then to tell, right? When you was involved in it, that becomes snitching. So again, the criminal who now wants to label someone else a snitch, who isn't a criminal, that's just you trying to be a victim, because you don't want to man up. So that's something that now has also changed. Definitions change based on who the egotistical, arrogant person.
Yeah, like the way people take advantage of the word friendship.
Yes.
Those people on Facebook, like and follow you. This ain't your friends. You don't know them from a hole in the wall.
That's right. That's right.
Probably half of your friends on Facebook you do not know. More than half.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes, there's people who friended me, and then I pass by the streets. They see me.
And they won't say nothing to you.
They won't say that. They act like I'm total straight. I'm like, yo, why are you friending me then?
So then what? Yeah, exactly.
Why are you friending me?
So that
luckily, I'm a trainer. So I'd be like, sure. You might see one of my posts and be like, hey, you could be a potential client. So I'd be like, okay. But definitely not on my friend list.
Well, that's the thing with social media now, that, everybody is connected, but everybody is disconnected.
Big time.
Because there's no true connection with the people who you come across, online, because you don't have anything meaningful to talk about. A lot of people, just like we said earlier, friendship is transactional now.
Yeah.
It is about what can I get from you. And the only thing that people really want is either status or money. And that's what everybody's looking for, which is why there's so much betrayal amongst people. Everybody's betraying each other because everybody is looking for money and status. So therefore, there is no, real friendship. There's no real human connection with anyone, with each other, because everybody is looking for what can I get that's going to benefit me and make my life easier or better in the eyes of other people.
And that's what I've noticed. I've noticed this, that's why my friendship circle is very small right now.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? You and me are like, we're family. We're past friendship.
Yeah.
We're family, right? And then I have other best friends of mine. They're my family members, right? They're family to me, right? But then I have these other people who I realized that it was a transactional thing. And I'm like, wait. That's it. I don't even speak to the individuals no more because I pull their cards right then and there. I'm like, yo, hold on. This is nonsense. Every time I come over here or every time I'm around you, you're just using me.
That's right.
I'm just being used. I'm like, and this is not about you caring about me, or because if you did, then there's certain characteristics, certain things that will come into play that will show that you cared about me based on who I am, right? So that, and then I, distance. That's it. We don't talk no more to these from now on. You know what I'm saying? And there's other individuals that I grew up with that I've done amazing things for. Not to boast. You know what I'm saying? Never tell what your right hand, what the left hand does. But I just want to put out there the importance of what you do as a friendship. It's expected for you to do more. It's better to give than to receive. There's way more joy in being there for somebody than waiting for them to be there for you. If they're there for you, that's great. It's genuine. It was organic. It came back organically, but not with expectations. You know what I'm saying? But when you do something for others, you feel good about it. But when somebody, I realize that certain people are doing things for you because they want, there's an expectation. They want something.
They want something in return.
All the time it's about something. It's never about how you're doing, how's your health. You'll come through. I'm going to make dinner for you. You know what I'm saying? Really checking in and honing in on where you're emotionally at.
Mm-hmm.
And if they could be there for you, something they could do. It's not that. It's about what they could get from you.
Absolutely.
And it's a terrible thing because that's the norm of the world. Even the closest blood I have, does that. And it mind boggles me. It's like, it's just the strangest thing.
Yeah. This
is terrible. It's saddening. It weighs heavy in my heart.
It does. It does. Because, it's not just friends. It's relatives. Even your mother, I'm not saying your mother, but even a mother will do that, A mother will do that to their kid, which is like, always playing the victim and always, not being able to do something for themselves. And it's like, oh, can you do this? Can you do this? Can you do this? Can you do this? And it's like, well, what did you have kids for? Just so you could manipulate them into being your slaves,
Yeah.
and there's people that they have those stories, the same thing with like brothers or sisters or cousins. And then when the person finally, has enough bravery to say, you know what, I don't want to be part of this relationship, they get attacked.
Oh yeah.
Oh, you think you special, or you think you somebody now, and it's like, why? Because I want to stop getting abused.
Yeah. No more toxic relationship.
Yeah, and here's the thing: that's how they attack you, because they want to stay in control of that relationship where they're constantly taking and they don't give anything.
Also,
so,
that misery loves company relationship.
So yeah,
We're out here to grow as people. We're out here to evolve, right? We're out here to finish life in this good race, being the better version of ourselves. So we hope that everybody finds a good partner, a good friend to travel this journey on with. So that one day we're both old and we're not working anymore because we physically can't. And we got canes and we're still debating about the nonsense things like the Knicks.
absolutely.
And why LeBron James is not the GOAT.
He's not the GOAT. He's not the GOAT.
Yeah.
So
Those are the things we're looking forward to.
he's a great player, but
Yeah.
he's not the greatest player.
Yeah, we get the point. We get the point. Yeah.
So to finish it off, what I want to say is, if you want to have friendship, then you have to be the friend that you would like to have.
Yo.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, big time.
So, and that's what a lot of people are so afraid to do. They're afraid to be the person that they want in their life.
Be the example.
You got to lead.
Yeah, lead.
If you want love, you have to give love. You can't wait to get love to then start giving love. No, this is not, I'll get first and then I'll give. No, you got to give first. And then, if it's in the energy realm, then it will come back to you.
It'll come back
But
to you.
but it has to be with the right intention. It has to be pure and honorable intentions, that you're doing it for the right reason. It is righteous, not to be righteous, but to do righteous. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
Yeah, man.
and that's the way I operate. And for me, I sleep very, very good at night, knowing that I did right and I didn't take advantage of nobody, and whether they take advantage of me or not, that's not for me. That is for God to deal with that.
Yeah.
So,
Amen.
and I just want to say that, if you want a healthy relationship, either friendship or romantic, then you have to give what it is that you would like to receive, but you got to give it first.
Yeah.
So,
With you. Agree with that.
so any closing statement for our viewers?
If you have any comments on this topic, everybody has their own experience on this. We would love to hear it.
That's right. So drop it in the comment section, and give us that like and share if you got some, got something productive out of this conversation. And if you want to share it, if you don't, that's fine. If you want to hit the like button, that's fine. If you want to subscribe, that's fine. And if you don't, that's fine too. So, we're all accepting of your choices. So with that being said, thank you for tuning in to Learning the Process podcast.